get up out of the chair to go to the bathroom, to go get something out of the kitchen. I had to have help to stand up, and I had to use one of those to get around. And I'm here in front of you today as a survivor, as a testimony to what can happen when you have faith, when you have good medicine, and when you have a great team of family and friends. Just about 2 years ago, my cancer was at its worst. 4 vertebrae in my back had collapsed. I have multiple myeloma. It's a blood cancer. Causes a lot of bone damage. I was miserable. I was in agony. And then all of a sudden, some things started to turn around. Up to that point, the chemo hadn't really been working. But just about 2 years ago, I met a man I like to call the hope dealer. He's a pastor of our church. Pastor Gar, out at the refuge. And he came and prayed with me. He gave me faith. He gave me hope. He propped me up. He got a lot of people praying for me. And out of that, I went to a new doctor. The new doctor used different kinds of chemo. And between the faith and the divine intervention and the chemo, the cancer burden started to be reduced. By September, the cancer burden was low enough that I could go in for what's called a stem cell transplant. That's kind of the treatment for multiple myeloma. You've probably heard of a bone marrow transplant. The stem cell transplant's the modern day equivalent of that. But over the course of the disease, the last 2 years, I spent about 16 weeks in the hospital, off and on. I'm glad I'm past that. I'm glad to be on this side of it. But it's changed me. It's given me a whole new perspective on a lot of things. It's given me a lot deeper faith, and it's really pointed out to me some pretty important things. When you have cancer, you find out who your friends are, and you find out who your friends aren't. I had people who just dropped out of my life, and as my wife likes to say, their part in my story is over. But for every one of those, I gained 5 new friends. I gained people in the Refuge Church. I gained people like Gail. I gained more friends than I can count. I found out that the friends that I have from work all over the world heard about me, prayed for me. I had mass said for me in a half a dozen countries around the world. And it really lifted me up. Friends are important. They help bring us along. They give us a reason to survive. My family is very important. When I was very sick, I worried about my daughter. I have a 13-year-old daughter, and I wondered, if I didn't make it, who was going to raise her? Who was going to be her dad? And let me tell you, I fought that much harder so that I could be here today with her, so that I could see her grow up and be her dad. It gave me a new appreciation for my wife. You know, we've been married almost 20 years. When I got sick, you kind of get almost take your partner for granted after 20 years. And when I got sick, she stepped up, she took the ball, she picked up everything at our house. We have horses, we have a big yard, we have a lot going on. She picked up all that and ran with it, because frankly, I was unable to. I was essentially a cripple. I was on a walker to get around. So honey, I love you. If I haven't said it before, I'm going to say it now in front of all these people. You're wonderful, you're my caregiver, you're my best friend and my support. rough a time as I had fighting cancer, and it wasn't easy, and anybody who's a survivor or a caregiver, everybody knows how tough that fight can be. But I saw people who had it way worse than I did. I had good insurance. I saw people who couldn't get the care they needed because they didn't have good insurance. And so it really gave me a renewed focus on charity, which is part of why I'm here tonight with the American Cancer Society. Because for me, the American Cancer Society was a great source of information. You know, when you're first diagnosed with cancer, your head swirls with, what is this? What is this weird disease? Why do I have it? How do I get better? What's going on? And we got a lot of great information from the American Cancer Society. And as I went on and my disease progressed, and I was off work, on disability, the information from the Cancer Society helped me to deal with my disability insurance. They helped me to deal with my health insurance. So for me, they were a great source of information. But for a lot of people, they're really a lifeline. Here in the community, they provide things like rides and other assistance for people who need therapy. And none of us who are a survivor would be here if it weren't for research. And the American Cancer Society is the largest funder of research in the United States outside the federal government. They give about $140 million to cancer research. And not just any cancer research. They give it to the best cancer researchers. 46 of the people that they've given money to through grants or other programs have been nominated for Nobel Prizes. That's pretty amazing. 46 people. So the people that the American Cancer Society gives money to for research are the best of the best. And they're the ones who are coming up with the cures that make success stories like mine possible. When I was a little kid, about 5 years old, a great uncle of mine came to visit us. He was kind of doing his last rounds, seeing his nephews and whatnot. He had multiple myeloma. They were throwing all the chemo they had in 1968 at him, and he lasted about 6 months. So research funded by the American Cancer Society is crucial to survivors. And that's where fundraising events like this really come in. Because without funds generated at a grassroots level, from Wiley, Saxey, Murphy, from the people I see out here in front of us, we just wouldn't be able to do it. And there wouldn't be anywhere near as many survivors and not anywhere near enough birthdays. So I've probably rambled on longer than y'all want to hear. I know there are other things to go on tonight, so I'm going to turn the microphone over to somebody else. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being here tonight. God bless you all.